Hi. Thank you all for joining in. I'm just going to wait for Esther to join us today. Hello. Hi, thank you all for joining in. We still have about 2 minutes to go, so please go ahead and get your cup of tea or coffee, and I can see Esther connecting in.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, let me just put the volume on a little bit more. Yeah, perfect. I'm fine. How are you?
Good, good, good. So nice to have you here with us. Is it
It's
too early for you?
Oh, sorry?
Is it too early for you?
It's not at all. It's 11:30 p.m. or 11:30 a.m. So just before
That's
noon.
not
So I'm
too bad.
having my cup of coffee as well.
Yeah, I just told everybody get your cup of teas because it's afternoon here and it's a Saturday afternoon. So
Perfect, perfect,
much.
perfect day for a virtual coffee.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for joining us, Esther. I'm going to quickly introduce you to everybody here. So, Esther is the head of international sales and communities of Bowerbird Europe. And I think I will let you tell us what Bowerbird is all about. Because we have architects and designers from all over with us here today. It'll be interesting to know how you came about with Bowerbird and what is it really trying to do. So why don't you tell us?
Yeah, perfect. So as you said, I'm hi guys, hi everyone. I'm Esther. I'm head of international sales and communities at Bowerbird, which is basically a platform that helps architects get published in media all over the world. And well, basically, just a little bit more information, a little bit more background on how I came about with Bowerbird. Basically, I initially came across Bowerbird when I was working as a journalist at this fantastic publication in Warsaw called This is Paper. And so I came across Bowerbird, and it was just starting out back then. And I thought it's such a genius system. It's such a genius platform because like I could connect with architects basically with architecture projects. I could find architecture projects that I've never seen before, and we did a lot of research at the publication back then. And fast forward 2 years, and we started working together with the team back then, and since then we are basically a small team of 8 dedicated, motivated people who want to share more architecture with the world. And but basically Bowerbird is so it is a tool for architects and journalists as well. So for example, architects use it to share their projects with journalists, and on the other hand, journalists have accounts on Bowerbird as well. So they basically log into the platform and they source projects for their magazines. And behind Bowerbird, we are there. We help them source projects for their magazines, and we also help architects throughout their media journey as well. Yep.
That's it. I mean, I think that's really fabulous, because uh, I think globally we all believe today that we're especially in today's times when we're all digitally connected,
Mm.
right? India has gone digital a lot,
Mm.
right? It's really important to be able to share your work, your design ideas, your processes behind your work, and everything needs to be sort of everything needs to be online in a very engaged format. And I think in that sense, Bowerbird is sort of, pushing that agenda in the right direction, right? So you've already sort of told us what you've been doing. Can you tell us a little bit about, let's first talk about how according to you, does international media help in the recognition of architecture and design?
So this is a very interesting question, and as you said, digital media, for example, is it's booming, and architecture media has changed in the even in the last or in the past 10 or 20 years, and with social media coming into our lives like full time, full on, it like people have opportunities to share their values, share what they're working on. And previously there were only a handful of architects that got published in international media, the most known architects. And now architects have the opportunity to share their work with with people around the world and connect with them. And basically, so what I believe is, by getting more architecture published, we get more architecture commissioned as well. So, now is the time when architects have a say in this. They can contribute to the recognition of architecture, in general media. They can connect with the general public. They they can share their values, share why it's important to hire an architect, let's say. And it's because this architecture can be seen, or could, it was seen as something that only the richest could have, but it's not. This is not the case. So there are architecture practices who are working on small extensions, little additions, and it's it can be affordable. It can be part of your life, and it's important. It's important to be a part of your life. So I think sharing, by architects sharing their work, their values, by connecting to an international audience, they are tapping into all those publications, audiences, or for example, some of the publications have hundreds of thousands or even millions of followers, which is unbelievable. If you think about that, you have that reach. And so I really think that it's important because of that. Because as I said, by getting more architecture published, I believe that slowly, but we will get more architecture commissioned as well. And it's really important. So this is this connects to the whole. So here's a little advice for architects. Obviously, when you are talking to other architects, it's they will understand you. But a lot of architects use archi-speak a lot of times when they're talking to the general public as well. And even for me, who's reading architecture descriptions every single day, even for me, those those phrases can be I'm looking at it and I seriously don't understand it the way they do. It's so technical. So if you want to, it's really important to connect with the general public as well, but do their language as well, and try to use a bit less of those big words.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. I think the other thing that I feel is that when you share content with media, right, when you are also, because you have taken the liberty to put your work out there, it also gives you, I mean, the onus is on you to actually create better work.
Yes.
So in that sense, you're really, you're enabling a better built environment just by engaging in this sort of discourse, right?
Yeah.
By engaging with other people, by putting your work out there, you know that you have to do really good work, and it has to be sensible, it has to be logical, it has to be real. It cannot be jargon, like you said. So it's a process that, of course, as a byproduct you will get work, but as a studio, internally it helps you put your work better. It makes you think about what you want to say to the outside world, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's another big benefit. That's an intangible benefit of sort of getting your work out there. So what you've created is really an international platform, right? Bowerbird is an international. Can you tell us how it really works?
So it is an international platform. So as a little bit of a background, we started from Australia, 4 to 5 years ago, and but our journalist database has always been global. So it's open to everybody, and and we love if people reach out to us. We love to talk to them, and but we do launch in different cities as well, and different countries as well. So as I said, it started from Australia, but then we opened up to Canada, for example. Then we opened up to the USA, and then Europe, and now we have architects from all over the world who come to the platform, and who are dedicated to sharing their work. And it is a closed down platform, so it is invitation only. So we look at when we reach out to architects we think that would be a good fit for Bowerbird, because they have wonderful projects, they have wonderful stories behind their projects, and we think that they could be a really great match for a journalist network. We look at all these different things. But so just as from a technical point of view, these architects come onto the platform, and how they upload media kits to the platform, and it's an online media kit, and it is something that includes every single information that a journalist needs to publish a story. So it includes all your professional shots and your description as well. We try to help with questions that help architects write their project descriptions, but it's really important to that's a great start, but it's really important to work with people who who are great with building words, as you say as well. And and basically, so on the platform, they can submit to journalists all over the world, and we have something called submission suggestions, which actually helps architects manage this process. I would say, there are a lot of architects who don't know where to start, for example, so this gives them a great head start. And obviously we are there, our whole team is there to support their journey, and basically help them with advice as well.
That's really interesting. So do you help in content curation as well? What is your role? So an architect will upload their content, right, from a project perspective, and the journalist at the other end is looking for that content, and they will create the story. So what is the role that you play in between?
So it's basically, so I would say we could approach this from two ways. We could approach this pre-platform. So when the architects are not yet on the platform. So we launch, as I said, we launch in cities. So we do a thorough research of a city, of a country, and we look at the architecture community, and we reach out to those architects. We talk to them. We tell them that these journalists are looking for their projects, and it's actually sometimes it's really hard to find those architects, and you come across these gems, which are like projects that have never ever been shared before. They have a fantastic story, they have a professional photography, but they just they just don't know how to start, or they just don't have the time, they just don't have the budget to start. And that's when we come into the picture. We try to help them as much as we can. And on the other side, like, we obviously support journalists as well, in international media and local media as well. So if a journalist, sometimes journalists reach out to us and they say, they tell us they are looking for, let's say, projects that are, like timber clad projects, houses that, that have some sustainability element. And so basically we go and research that project for them. And I would say content curation is, like, it's most visible in that. But obviously, well, we look at many things from.
I will ask you later. I have a question for you on that.
Okay.
So, also, tell us, how do you? So you said that a lot of times there are new designers or projects that have never seen the light of the day. How do you find that balance between? Is it a challenge to find a balance between the more popular sort of architects or designers and the newcomers who are still figuring it out? Is it a challenge for you to curate content, or do you feel that anybody can sign up and they can just sort of roll with it?
So actually, this is a very interesting question, because a key value, a core value behind Bowerbird is, or basically what drives us, what motivates us to keep going, is to, like, we have this saying, we want to democratize architecture media. And it is a pretty lofty thing to say, but basically, we want to give the same opportunities to everyone. It doesn't matter if they are a smaller firm, if they are an emerging practice, or a large established practice. We want to provide the same opportunities for them. So the platform, it's a subscription-based platform, but we have the subscription based on the number of staff in the architecture practice. Everyone gets the same features. We help everyone the same ways, but it's basically based on how big is the practice. Because we used to have the subscription based on the number of projects they could upload, but we realized that it's actually not, it doesn't align with our values or what we believe in, because, like, we felt like some architects have way more projects to upload than what they could pay for example. And so we kind of transitioned into an unlimited or a subscription based on the number of staff, but they can upload unlimited kits. So and it's actually really important, because a lot of times, well, obviously, a lot of publications, they prefer exclusivity. They love to see new and fresh projects, but there are still many publications that they don't choose by the completion date. There was one journalist who said to me they choose by heart. So they look at the design value, and it doesn't matter if it's been if it is a recently completed project or not. Yeah,
that's good insight. And that's good insight for our audience as well, because a lot of times people worry about the fact that our projects are old, or if you had to sort of say that, what are the 3 things that are most important when somebody uploads a project or wants to send a project for international media? What are the 3 things they should sort of keep in mind?
So they should definitely keep in mind. So I always suggest, realistically speaking, the projects that get published the most are, professionally photographed projects, and so definitely look at that. it's just how the publishing industry works. You need to, you need to have that photography. And the other thing is, story. Make sure to include, make sure to write a great description of this of the project. Make sure to include the story, because, and if somebody says like we don't have a story, I'm sure they have a story, because
every project has a story.
Exactly, every project has a human element. And sometimes I talk to architects, and I read their description before, and then they go on telling me all these challenges they faced during the design process, and it's not written in the description. And I'm just stunned. So definitely so if you want to create a great media kit, include the challenges in the project description. Well, the other thing I would say is, well, this is my ultimate tip, and it is be consistent and be proactive. So I don't believe that communication works when it's kind of like when it's kind of like in this yo-yo state. So when architects have new project and they actively focus on sending it out, but then they just leave it. They just leave it for months, and they don't really put much effort into it. I don't think that works. So if you want your communications to succeed, you have to be consistent. It's not that you have to post every single day, or you have to message people every single day. It's it can be maybe 2 times a week, but still be consistent, like stick to that 2 times a week. And I think this is really important. And also, so for example, on the platform, being proactive is definitely a thing that helps. So even just sending it out to journalists, maybe sending it out to a couple of journalists each week, and then following up with them. Like you don't have to be in a rush.
Yeah.
You can schedule these things exactly from week to week, from day to day, or what fits your strategy. And this is another thing. So not everyone's gonna have the same strategy. So there's no one size fits all. And not in communication, not in like anywhere. You have to first to have your strategy to kind of think about what your core values are. You have to sit down and you have to think about it. You have to think about what you want to communicate, how you want to communicate that, and connect with professionals as well if you need advice, if you need guidance. Yeah.
That's really good to hear, because at episode we echo exactly the same feeling. Consistency is important. Strategy is more important. It's not so much about the frequency. They both have to go hand in hand. One has to keep at it. And like you said, it could be every day, it could be every week. One just needs to figure out where they want to go, and what is it that they have to say. So, which means that would you adopt a more journalistic, sort of unbiased approach to projects, or do you have a curatorial approach to projects, or do you let the journalists just decide by themselves? I mean, are there any particular styles or projects of certain nature do well, or is that left to the editors of the magazines or the platforms?
Interesting. So we look at, so for example, with the team, like we have a team with very different backgrounds, from architecture to communications to journalism to photography as well, architecture, photography as well. So I would say we have a holistic approach, and we look at both, everything. We do realize that and like architects should realize as well that not every project is gonna get into the same magazines, so they shouldn't actually let's say they shouldn't let's say if it's they shouldn't submit every single project to the same magazine. So it's great to be conscious with all the people that you're submitting to. So for example, how when journalists log into Bowerbird, they can decide what they are interested in. They can search for what they are interested in. So it really depends for every single publication and every single journalist. So sometimes they are interested in they are more interested in the story behind the project than the actual project, or sometimes they are interested in beautiful modernist project. So it really depends on what they want to publish in their magazines. But that's so on Bowerbird. That's why I suggest architects to so when they're creating an online media kit, I suggest them to because they can be very harsh on themselves, I would say. So they can easily over curate their media kit.
Yes.
And I think that it's obviously great to be conscious about what you're uploading, but don't over curate it. Don't think of it as a perfect something. Think of it as a little bit curated, a little bit imperfect thing, which includes every single information that a journalist would need to publish a story. So no matter if it's a huge publication who would share all the images, who would share all the text, or a small blog who would love to feature your project and would love to dive into certain aspects of the project. Yeah.
Okay, this is really useful, because I think, most Indian firms, uh, at least till some time back, uh, were very worried about what really works, because context, the reality, climate, everything is very different, right? The projects are of a different nature. So
Mm,
how does one ensure that, because every project will have its own story. So how does one ensure that their content also gets picked up by international media?
mm.
So how do you think, you from the outside, how do you think Indian architects and designers are doing in terms of their outreach intent and activities, and what is it that they could focus on a little more? I mean, there has been a huge shift. I think I have personally seen that shift in just my years of working, that a lot of Indian firms are now getting their work out there, and they're globally recognized, and Indian architects are at the forefront of architecture globally. But how do you think? I mean, one, what is it? What do you think is working? What is not working, and what can one do to sort of give it a little bigger?
Mm. Well, this is a great question, and it's a very complex question, I would say. So definitely, getting published in international media is so important for so many reasons. And one is basically one is let's say diversifying your client base as well. If you think about it, obviously it's not going to be for all architects. Not everyone wants to work internationally, but if you do, like and you get published across international media, then you are reaching a huge audience with your project. And those architects are popping up that are being published everywhere on everywhere basically. And well, the other thing is it helps with like getting published internationally. It helps with just technically speaking, it helps with SEO, let's say.
Of
So
course, of
yeah.
course, of course. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
a really big one. Yeah. That's what we, in fact, a lot of times people ask us that, offline versus online, how do you decide? Well, online is going to stay forever on the web, and it is going to help in SEO. So,
Exactly.
without investing too much energy into SEO, by simply getting your projects out there, you're enabling SEO by itself, right? So
Yes,
that's
exactly.
big.
Both, so being in or being published in both printed and online magazines is really very important. It's like it's you it goes hand in hand. But so for example, online global magazines have or online international magazines have global reach. So there is no specific country that's more, well, maybe yes, but they have readers from all over the world, I would say. So that's really important. Yes, and also just like getting published in international media supports supports your your values, your brand values, and your brand visibility wherever you are. So that's really important. And in terms of like how the Indian community is doing when when it comes to international media, it's actually very interesting, because so we are, I would say, in the pre-research phase of like tapping into a community, or like launching in a community, launching in a country. And I've been having conversations with Indian architects in the past couple of months, and people from the Indian community, and I see this huge drive, as you say as well, that like I see that they actually want to share their work. They want to get out to international media, which is fantastic. And I can see like stunning projects with different typologies, different it's really interesting. It's definitely worth to share it. um you know Generally, my advice to anyone who wants to get published in like locally or internationally is to, as I said, as I said many times, it is to get your project photographed professionally, because you've spent sometimes years and years designing it. You've spent so much time and effort. You've put so much effort into it, and work with a professional photographer, because they can translate your project into what it is visually. So, and it's gonna be, that's gonna be a return on investment. So and you can look at it after years and years and say that this is still a project that I really connect to, that my brand connects to. It is beautiful. I can still get it published. There are architects who have a project that they completed, let's say 10 to 12 years ago, and they are still talking about it because it's still relevant. So it's not gonna just disappear. But probably you could tell us more about how the Indian community of architects are doing.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Actually, I also see that there is this huge drive to not just share your work, but share it beyond just the immediate Indian.
Mm.
Because, like I said, we are living in a completely digitally connected world, and there is a motivation to do better work. There is a motivation to learn from what is happening around. There is a motivation to share innovation that is happening on ground in India. A lot of times you'll see that some of the projects that get picked up international, Indian projects that get picked up internationally, are a lot about the craftsman, the hand craftsmanship, the process. It's the little details. And I see that that's what gets a lot of interest from global media. So there is, I think the motivation has in fact been like a upward sort of graph, and it's really gone up. Even smaller practices, like earlier what was sort of restricted to big practices only because they had the space or the bank. Today you can do one, you could be a small studio, you could do one really interesting project, and yet sort of share it with everybody around the world. So I
The
think, I
beauty
mean,
of
this
online
platform
media.
really helps in that, right? You don't need a lot. Yes, but right, like you rightly sort of reinforced many times, that you do need good photography, because
Mm.
that is something that explains the project well. And like what we do also tell a lot of people is that also capture work in progress. You know, the process of making a building, the process of creating the design, the sketches, the diagrams. It's really, really sort of, it really changes the game. You know, it really makes you understand the narrative of the project.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And you have different channels, different channels for to share that. You have LinkedIn, let's say, which is a more professional platform. You can share those like behind the scenes there. You can share the process. You can talk about important aspects of that process. So it's definitely, as you say, it's definitely important to document that and share it on relevant channels. So for example, Instagram is more visual, so you need beautiful images. But some can say that this is a very superficial thing to do. But I also look at it in a way that like I come for the content, and I stay for the story. So I look at those pictures, and it captures my attention, and therefore I read what's behind it. Well, because I'm also, like, I'm human. I'm following beautiful Instagram accounts, and I love it. I love to look at it, but I also look behind the projects. Then I look at what they are writing, what they are saying about the project, or just generally. It kind of helps. It helps to grow this emotional connection as well. And so, for example, if I know, maybe I'm not able to hire an architect right now, but let's say I know when I will be at that point of my life, that I want to work with an architect, and I have people in mind who I follow, who I'm connected to. So it's really important um, to create that connection as well.
Yeah, it's really important to create. I think, yeah, online media and social media helps you build that recall. You know, that if not now, even later, I can always sort of. And so I'm sure, I mean, this is a question that everybody asks. You get asked too. That do people actually get commissions by getting features? I get asked this question all the time.
Yes,
I
yes.
feel nice for everybody to know what you think.
Yes, absolutely. I would say, obviously, if I would say that everyone's getting commissioned right after somebody reads about their project, I would lie. That's not, that's not how it works. It can happen, and it happened. I heard stories of, like, there was this practice who got published in in a publication in Austria. And right after that, they got commissioned to build it was a Hungarian practice, and that they got commissioned to build in Vienna, which is amazing. This is obviously, this is a lot of luck as well. But so, for example, there was this other practice who put a lot of effort into communicating their projects, and they are doing really well on media. And so, for example, they got published. They got published a fair amount of times years ago when they were starting. And so somebody took an article and they presented it in their own country to their own boss, and at a company, just a random company. And so the leader, the director of that company, said that, "I love that. Who is that? I want them to build something for us." And ever since, they are working in Switzerland.
Wow.
Which is, so it is amazing, and you never know. But on the other hand, obviously, architecture is is a longer process.
Of course.
As you know, even like designing a project, it sometimes, you know, takes years. And you know, you shouldn't, like, architects shouldn't get demotivated if you know, if they don't get commissioned right away, because that communication, that time that they are, you know, that they are sharing their project day after day, month after month, year after year, that's gonna add up. And you know, that's gonna be, maybe after months, maybe after years, but that's gonna be the return on investment on let's say a project. They will get commissioned on $1 million project. So you know, you should think about it as the work you do, as you know, the work you do for your future commissions as well. Yeah.
Also, I also feel it's not something that you do outside of the regular work. It has to be integrated within what you're doing at the studio anyways, right? It's,
yeah,
as architects and designers, we are all designing, but it doesn't end there. It doesn't just stop that, you know, we create this fabulous design and that's it. You know, it really
exactly.
there's a lot more to design, and for discourse, you need to enable there are too many other dots that need to get connected, and then I think that is what really helps in building the larger story.
Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely. I completely agree with you on this one. And you know, sometimes I feel like sometimes the issue can be that architects look at communications as, you know, as they think that it's marketing in a very salesy way. You know, they think of like getting published on, or getting advertised on billboards, and you know, being constantly being on TV, etc. But it's not at all like that. So it's communications is about, you know, really just about sharing your knowledge.
Absolutely.
And architects are so good in that. So you know, if you ask an architect about something, about a topic, about their project, they can go on for hours and hours and hours, and that's fantastic. And you, like, think about it that way. Just, you know, architects should think about it that way. They had, you know, they should switch that mental state, that they should think about it as, you know, sharing knowledge, sharing what they already know. Yeah.
And that's exactly what we are also doing with this episode OPD. We're doing exactly that. We're just sharing, you know, what we know, what you know, and we're bringing it all sort of on the same platform. So thank you, Eszter. This has been really nice and very insightful. We will be sharing this session on our IGTV later. So feel free to share it on your social media platforms as well, so that people who missed it can still watch it. Thank you so much. It was really nice.
Thank you.
Virtual tea with you today. And
it was really nice to talk to you.
We hope that, I said, good luck with Bowerbird. I think what you're doing is fabulous. And we hope to sort of, you know, see very interesting work coming out.
Thank you so much. And I really feel honored to have talked to you about all of these things. And it's really valuable for us as well. And like, obviously, if anyone, I didn't really look at the comments we had, but if anyone has questions, you know, like, I'm more than happy to follow up with you as well, and to answer these questions.
Please reach out to Eszter, or you can DM Bowerbird, and I'm sure they'll help you out with their projects. And if there's anything, just DM them directly. They're very approachable. I think Eszter's been very kind. I have personally reached out to her many times, and it's great to actually, you know, I think fundamentally we're all, I think it's what you said reinforces our belief in the power of outreach. And I think that in today's world, it's all the more important. So thank you so much. And
thank you, Tanya.
Catch up with you later. Thank you.
Yeah, looking forward to that as well. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.